As you begin the Delta curriculum, I'm assuming that you have mastered adding, subtracting, and multiplying. Now those are found in the Matthew C sequence in alpha, beta, and gamma. So before you begin Delta, make sure that these are not just familiar, but you've really mastered them. You will need blocks for the Delta curriculum, and I would suggest that you continue watching the introduction on this video and also read the introduction at the beginning of the teacher manual. You might also want to consider a few weeks down the road reading the introduction once again just to reacclimate yourself with the Matthew C approach to teaching math. And I hope you have a good time doing so. So first of all, let me tell you thank you for watching this part of the video. Many people skip it, and it's essential that you do watch it. Now Matthew C is not just blocks, and it's not just videos, and it's not just books. It's the way we use these components that makes Matthew C what's different. And so the goal of Matthew C, number one, is that we teach children to be effective problem solvers. I often begin by saying this. Okay, here's my audience. I'll ask you. Why do we learn math? To do word problems, or to apply. That has negative connotations for many people. So the reason we learn math is to apply math in real life situations. So one time I was teaching junior high students, and I had 7 students. And I brought in 14 objects, and I said to them, okay, how many do you each get? 7 students, 14 objects. What did you think they said? That's right. They said, what do we do? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Because, you see, they knew how to multiply and how to add and how to do all these operations. But when to do which one is critical. Okay? So we want to teach not only the process or the rule, we want to teach the concept underlying. It's important that you know how to multiply. It's equally important that you know when to multiply. So it's more than just memorization of facts. To be a real solid math student, you have to know how to do the operations and why you do which operation when. Okay, so to get the most out of Matthew C, there are 4 steps we're going to go through. The first one is prepare for the lesson. And then the second one is present the new topic to the student. The third one is practice to acquire mastery. And the fourth one is proceed to the next lesson after the student demonstrates mastery. Confucius was reported to have said, now I wasn't there, but here's what he was supposed to have said. Tell me, I forget. Show me, I understand. Let me do it, I will remember. And we're adding step 4, which is, let me teach it back to you to demonstrate that I've mastered it. So it makes sense when you think about it, because what we're going to do is we're going to encourage you to, number 1, watch the video. Why would you do that? So that you understand what the concept is. Now these videos, I taught a methods of teaching math class at the college level one summer, and it's essentially the first 4 videos, the whole content of that class. So you're really being trained as the teacher to understand what the concept is. Number 2, once you understand it, you want to present it to your student. How are you going to do that? Well, most kids learn better when they can see it, touch it, and feel it. So you're going to use the blocks to teach your student. But it's one thing to watch someone else do it, another thing to do it yourself. And so step 3 is you're going to get out the textbooks and provide review and practice. And then normally what do you do after you've taught something and the students finished all the worksheets? Take a test, right? Now, in our society today, we normally do 2 things, workbooks and then a test. What we're adding is the first 2 steps, which is watch the video till you understand it. And then number 2, use manipulatives so that the child understands it. Then we go to the textbook, and then we go to the test. All right. So, step number 1, prepare for the lesson. You want to watch the video, and you want to read the teacher manual, which has examples, illustrations. And some people learn better by watching. Some learn better by reading. We're giving you both options. But it is a visual program, and it's pretty tough, I think, just to read an explanation. It's much more effective to watch me teaching it. Now I'll be using a board. I'll be the same guy, sometimes older, sometimes younger, but we'll be using the same manipulatives, and you have to make a determination. Try it yourself a few times, watch the video as the teacher, but some kids really like to watch it themselves, or they want to watch it with you. Either way, you be the judge of what you do for your own students. Step number 2. Present the new topic to the student, or what I like to say is show and tell. Because usually when I'm teaching a student or a class, I let the blocks, whether it's the overlays or the blocks, and a piece of paper and a pencil, and I present the new material. Now I keep teaching until he goes like that, or when the lights go on. If they don't get it, then I'm going to go back and do it again. Now I have to tell you that some of my kids that I've taught, they got it the first time I taught it, and then we went to the worksheets. Some kids, though, I've spent 3 weeks teaching a concept until I really felt that they understood it. And I'm going to give you one tip. If you have a child with any kind of learning problem, here's what I've done. Sometimes I don't even ask them for any feedback the first couple days. I simply model the approach, and I'll do 4 or 5 problems each day, and I say, you just watch, and as I'm doing the problem, I'll write it, I'll say it, I'll build it, and I'll just model exactly how you should solve the problem. By day 3, usually that particular student was ready to go. But we spent years working out that between us until we finally acquired that effective way of teaching. So sometimes, don't be afraid. Continue to do it. Now, we say over and over in the video and in the books, build it, write it, say it. What does that mean? You want to have the visual with the blocks, you want to have the auditory with the saying, and you want to have the writing part too. So build it, write it, say it. Sometimes I build it, and then they write it. Sometimes I say it, and they build it. Sometimes I write it, and they build it and say it. So use all 3. Okay, now, next step is practice to acquire mastery. In other words, let them do it. Because when a student's watching me do math, they go, oh, that's easy. You know how you've watched professional athletes? Oh, that's easy. But when you try to do it yourself, it's a different thing, isn't it? So make sure that they have plenty of practice. Now, in your student textbooks, you have 3 lesson practice sheets. You may or may not use all of those sheets. If they get it using the problems on the first sheet, then you proceed to the lesson review pages. But if they don't get it, spend some time there. You've got 3 pages, all right? You also have word problems in these pages. Now, these word problems are just focusing on that particular topic. So pull some word problems up, because why do we teach math? To do word problems, right? Our goal is to the student understands math and knows how to do it so they can apply it to real life situations. Now, there's enough examples there that most people won't use all 3 pages, but you as the teacher determine how much you're going to use or how much you're not going to use. So for the slower learner, you've got plenty of problems. For your accelerated learner, or a lesson that they really get quickly, just move on, all right? But you be the judge of that. Okay, step 4. Now, this is often tough for people to get, but let the students demonstrate to you that they have really mastered the program. So we do have tests at the end of each lesson. We have systematic review worksheets. So each lesson has, how many is this? 6 pages. You've got the first 3 are on the topic in that lesson. The next 3 are reviewing that topic plus everything you've had up to that point. They're cumulative review. I suggest that you do all 3 of those, all right? Oftentimes, in those pages, you also have a little lesson that's called a quick review down at the bottom of the student sheets. And these quick reviews bring up something that you've had in the past. So let's say you're in the multiplication book. You haven't had regrouping for months. So there'll be a little lesson in there, a little quick review, a little teaching, regrouping. So you as the teacher say, remember that? If they say yes, good. If they don't have it, it's a good time to bring it back and bring it back up to speed. Now, the word problems in these student review, these systematic review worksheets, they're from all over the place. They're from all the stuff you've had in the past. They're good. But you might find a student say, boy, I forgot how to do that. Well, that's a teachable moment. Take that time, focus on it, bring it back up to speed. They're carefully designed for that purpose. Now, the last thing is, doesn't every child want to be the teacher? Let them play teacher. You pretend you're the student. This is how you really determine whether they know their stuff. And so you say, okay, teach me the lesson. And they have to teach you what the concept is, how to use the blocks, how to build it, how to write it, how to say it, where to apply it, and let them be the teacher. And that's the only way you're really going to know if your student has mastered that material. Now, you might say, that's kind of a high goal. But, you know, it's more than just producing confident math students. Math is sequential. it hurts me. I used to be a high school math teacher, and if I had students that had come all the way to 10th grade and couldn't multiply or couldn't do fractions, then how am I going to teach them how to multiply exponents or add fractional exponents? So math is sequential. Don't go to subtracting till you've finished adding. Don't go to multiplying till you've finished adding and subtracting. Don't go to dividing until you've done all three, because dividing, you will use all those operations in one problem. See, so math is sequential. So somebody will ask me then, and I get many phone calls, when should we finish this book? How long should we take on a lesson? And having heard all this, what would be the answer? As long as you need, right? Because you as the teacher, now we've given you tests, we've given you these 4 steps, and use all the data that you have at your disposal. You can tell whether somebody really gets it. If the lights are going on, they're able to reproduce it, they're able to teach it back to you, then I'd feel comfortable in moving to the next lesson. But if not, take your time. You've got time is on your side. And make sure that you get math now at an early age so that they won't have to spend the next 50 years wondering how to do problems.